Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
She would go in there and get a massage and a massage on her ankle until she had an orgasm.
I would experience a level of pleasure.
When she'd come home to me after this last session, our sex was null and void. It was gone.
The whole purpose behind law is to right wrong. I want justice to be something that isn't this foreign concept.
Justice knows no boundaries. The truth will be heard. Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. John and Raquel Middleton are suing physical therapist Owen Hughes in the amount of $10,000. They claim the defendant re-injured Mrs. Middleton's ankle during a routine session. Mr. Owens claims his technique is sound and he did everything by the book.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. We have a situation here where Mr. and Mrs. Middleton, there's a problem with the therapist, and now you want him to pay $10,000. What happened? Who wants to start?
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Me and my wife Raquel, we are asking damages against Mr. Owen Hughes.
Right.
During a physical therapy session.
Now, you weren't the one that was having the physical therapy.
During
it was your wife, right?
Yeah, my wife.
So let me hear from you, Mrs. Middleton.
I was seeing for a sprained ankle that...
And you required physical therapy?
Yes.
And you are a physical therapist?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Your Honor,
had you ever gone with him before, or was this a new experience?
I had seen him on a repeated basis.
During the course of while you were trying to rehabilitate your injury?
Yes, heal my ankle.
And were you seeing the results?
I was, but until I had a particular session where during the session I was beginning to feel pain on my ankle, and while he was working,
you weren't feeling pain before?
Correct. Oh, it was healing, but within the session,
yes,
the massage was starting to go either too deep or something. It was starting to hurt.
Yes.
And I
Your
asked
Honor,
him
it was actually starting to hurt a lot more than what she says, because what was happening was Mr. Hughes was massaging her, and shortly after that session, when she left the office, she had felt a pop.
Were you there?
No, I was not there, but she came to me shortly after and explained the session to me.
Middleton,
because
your wife is right next to you. Why do you have to talk for her? And you weren't even there.
Because this whole situation has created, this whole situation has created distance between the two of us, sexually and emotionally.
All right, so let's talk about that. The situation was, there was a pop.
Yes, but prior to the pop, during the session,
yes,
when he was working on me, my ankle was starting to hurt when he was working, and I asked him to ease up and take it slower.
Okay.
And I had to ask him a couple of times before he would.
No, Your Honor, this is false. Okay, I've been a professional for 9 years. I graduated from Florida State University in Florida, and I've been
in physical therapy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I've done this for 9 years. And in my 9 years of professionalism, I have not had one complaint as such as this.
All right, so you've had 9 years of working in this field.
Correct.
And you have been very successful at that.
Right.
And physical therapy is not just massage. It's also having you go through a series of stretches and exercises and routines.
And the thing here is, the reason Mrs. Middleton here was not healing correctly as she should have, because she didn't wear the proper footing, the shoes, the orthopedic shoes she was required to wear.
So she came into my session. Mrs. Middleton needed to wear orthopedic shoes.
Yes.
And I would do outside activities, stretches, and exercises.
Stretching. She did not stretch.
Were you doing all of that?
She came into my office and said she wasn't stretching. She came to my office with flip-flops on.
That's not true. He did see me one time wearing...
Did you come in the office with flip-flops?
No, I did not. He did see me wearing flip-flops one time at the grocery store where we ran into one another.
Why are you wearing flip-flops and you have an ankle injury?
Because, well, my foot was doing okay, and I needed
Your Honor, can I just interrupt for a second and talk about... She explained the day...
You asked me a question. I didn't even answer. You just said, okay, I'm going to talk anyway.
Sorry, Your Honor.
And so.
Does he do this all the time? He takes charge.
Yeah, yes.
How long have the two of you been married?
17 years.
All right. So far, so good with the marriage?
Well, up until this last recent physical therapy session, it was wonderful.
And then what happened?
But since then,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You said it was wonderful.
well, it was wonderful until
But when
during the
you said
session
that-
with Mr. Hughes
when
and
you
her,
said that-
he would actually
When you
rub
said
her
that, at
ankles.
some point you're going to stop talking.
I would do my-
When you said that, when he said that, I looked at your wife, and she did something very interesting with her shoulder. She went,
Well, can I explain why, Your Honor?
no.
It has a lot to do with our sexual
Did I
activity.
not say no?
Coming up on America's Court.
She would go in there and get a
Pleasure.
massage and a massage on her ankle until she had an orgasm.
I would
And
experience
that's
a
just,
level
and
of
then
pleasure.
when she come home to me after this last session, our sex was null and void.
And later,
Initially you said not these are my wife's expenses.
Right.
You're just totally taking over.
closed captioning provided by This is America's Court with Judge Ross. We're back with the case of John and Raquel Middleton, who are suing Owen Hughes for negligence.
You said, it's been great. And she went, like, not so much. Why'd you do that?
Because that's the truth. That's the truth, and that was one of the things that came up with the sessions that I had with him.
What?
Oh, come on.
I
Your Honor,
experienced the
she
level
would go,
of
She would go in there and get a
pleasure.
massage and a massage on her ankle until she had an orgasm.
I would
And
experience
that's
a
just,
level
and
of
then
pleasure.
when she come home to me after this last session, our sex was null and void. It was gone. There was no intimacy. There was nothing there ever again since then.
Yeah, Your Honor, I'm
Wait,
professional.
we got a lot going on here.
Yes.
I could, yeah.
We got a lot going on here.
This is the,
I didn't hear anything about an orgasm while he was giving you a massage.
no.
Is that true?
It was a heightened, pleasurable experience.
I thought you said it was hurting.
In the last session, it started to go into that. And it's this particular session that I had the problem
And how
with.
do you know it was, well, I guess you would know if it was an orgasm. You would know, right?
Well, it was pleasurable.
And you told this to your husband.
Well,
Your Honor, for 17 years, we've had a very active sexual marriage. Okay? There has never been anything wrong with that until her last session
Well,
with
that is
Mr.
not my responsibility.
And you're
I'm
saying
a-
that Mr. Hughes is the responsible person for there not being intimacy between you and your wife.
I believe part of this monies we're asking for are definitely have a relative to that session and when she came out of the
Yeah.
office and re-injured her ankle, and I think that also domino effect into our intimacy, yes.
Is that true?
there's an element of truth to that. But
You are very careful with your words. It's
Yes.
like you are like, I don't want to say the wrong thing.
yeah,
I don't want to make him upset, meaning Mr. Middleton. I just need you to talk to me.
okay.
What's going on? There you go. again.
Regarding my
You're lying.
session with the therapist? Or
Yes.
Okay. The session with the therapist was, I had a series of very good sessions with him. But the last particular session, in the middle of that session, I was beginning to feel pain on my ankle.
Now I got that part.
Okay?
Now was
And
this
so
the
I
session that you
asked-
felt
No.
No, you
No.
had had it before.
Yeah,
Yes,
but Honor,
yes.
he is not a sex
But-
therapist. He's a
but-
physical therapist.
Exactly,
Sir,
Your Honor.
He is not a
I'm
sex
a physical
therapist.
therapist. Why are you blaming me for your sex life?
My point
How
is
are you
about
blaming
the
me for
ankle.
that?
My point is
How
he
am I
re-injured my
responsible
ankle
for what
with
happens in their
the...
bedroom? I am not
He
responsible.
re-injured
I am a
my
professional.
ankle.
Honor, we're asking.
Flag on the play.
We're asking.
Flag on the play.
Coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
Initially you said not these are my wife's expenses.
Right.
You're just totally taking over.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. We're back with the case of John and Raquel Middleton, who are suing Owen Hughes for negligence.
I've got multiple issues going on here. I've got you saying he was doing what he needed to do in terms of his job. You had an injury. You experienced some level of pleasure as a result of his massaging you. You're not disputing that.
In the initial
How
sessions.
does that impact your relationship with Mr. Middleton? There you go again.
I just,
Your Honor, I don't want a divorce. I just want to
I-
find intimacy again with us.
Let me help you out. After that experience with the defendant,
the positive experience or the painful experience?
She won't even give me a peck on the cheek anymore.
after you experienced this sensation with Mr. Hughes, did that impact your relationship with Mr. Middleton?
Yes.
How so? There you go again.
Well, it's because I wasn't interested in just obligatory,
She just didn't want to have sex with me
Sex.
anymore. That's all.
and it wasn't satisfying.
Okay.
So I experienced some satisfaction.
So you experienced satisfaction where you didn't expect it,
Correct.
and then you
Correct.
have this relationship
And,
with your
and there
husband.
wasn't any expectation from his part either. I
Right,
mean, it
he
was
was
just
doing
one
his
of
job.
I'm just
Yeah,
doing
but
my
he
job.
didn't fix the
You're
foot.
like, how did I get in the middle of this?
I did.
Yeah.
You
But
heard
he
your
didn't
wife-
fix the
you heard
ankle.
your wife
He
say it
re-injured
was
the
getting
ankle,
better.
Your Honor.
My-
You
my
heard
And that's
your wife
why
say
we're
that.
here. We're
You
here
heard
to-
your wife say
At
that it
a
was getting
certain point,
better.
because what happened in the one session, I don't know
Wow.
what was happening,
This is-
but he was working on my ankle, and
I
it
got
was
all that
starting.
about the
It
ankle.
was
I want to talk about your husband. Because
Okay.
what he's saying is, after you experienced this with Mr. Hughes, it affected the relationship between the two of you. Now that's where you come in, sir.
Yes.
So you're saying that after that, she didn't want to be intimate with you?
Yes. After that one particular day when she came home and we talked about his session with her and how she came out and the ankle popped, she felt it. From then on, our intimacy, our relationship in general was just torn apart.
And you're saying that it was because of the pop while she was having a therapy session with him.
I do believe it was caused by his therapy,
And
yes.
you don't think it had anything to do with the prior session where she experienced this sensation that she wasn't expecting?
I do not. I believe she
Did you
had some
ask
kind
her?
of psychological
Did you
block.
ask her?
We've talked about it, not too much in depth, but we have talked about it.
Explain the massage technique. What are you doing?
Well, Your Honor,
Yes.
I'm you know, God gives gifts to some people, and God has gifted me with these hands. Now, I started
You
the
know
base
when
of
you
the foot.
say, the way you say that. Is this something that many of your clients experience?
Your Honor, I
with your
think you're
gifted
sounding
hand?
more like a sex therapist.
No. I'm just saying I'm a very good massage therapist.
Coming up on America's Court.
Initially, you said I, not these are my wife's expenses.
Right.
You're just totally taking over.
Closed captioning provided by. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. We're back with the case of John and Raquel Middleton, who are suing Owen Hughes for negligence.
You have damages of $10,000. You have proof of that?
Your Honor, I have
Let me see.
medical expenses here for $3,500.
And whose medical expenses are we talking about?
The physical therapist we had to go out and get once we left Mr. Hughes' service.
And even when you introduced this to me, you said, I have these expenses.
We have, excuse me.
And then you said we. Initially, you said I, not these are my wife's expenses.
Right,
You're just totally taking over.
right.
I get it. So these are the expenses as relates to that pop that happened outside of Mr. Hughes' office.
Yes, sir.
And you're saying you think because he was rubbing too hard and there was something about this electrical current in the wrap.
yes,
That-
that it slightly
She did not
burnt.
communicate to my assistant the proper level in which she usually gets the currents.
And I did communicate to his assistant. That's
Lie,
where
Your
all
Honor.
of this comes in.
And
is
where's
I
the assistant?
explain people.
He fired her.
We let her go for other reasons, for her being late to work. It has.
So you fired her.
Correct, Your Honor, but these for other different, these are
That's
different
fine.
reasons.
I just needed to know.
Okay, okay.
And you're saying that he is responsible for the additional monies that you had to spend to deal with the pop?
Yes,
And
and
to-
also lost wages because she was out of work several
down.
weeks.
Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. I hear you. What are you going to do with him?
Well, I'll cross that bridge outside of this courthouse.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you are suing Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
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 You are suing him. Okay. You're saying you're not liable.
I'm not liable for someone's personal sex life
I
in the
understand.
bedroom.
We're not talking, this is not about sex.
Okay.
This is not about what happened as a result of her being in your office and experiencing that sensation.
Okay.
She's dealing with some other things that, are you married?
No, sir.
Okay, then you have no idea what's going on here. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Really the issue is, are you liable based on her injuries that were sustained as a result of the additional visits to your officer?
Well,
No, I'm not asking you.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. You're watching America's Court with Judge Ross. This is America's Court with Judge Ross.
Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the plaintiff. The $10,000, the medical expenses, are not totaling $10,000 because some of the $10,000 deals with the loss of affection that Mr. Middleton is suing for. There will be no monies awarded for that. The issue regarding the popping of the ankle, I didn't hear anything other than he was putting a lot of pressure that suggests that he was negligent. So that's going to cause your amount to go down. The only thing that I heard that seems reasonable is that the electrical current that the rapist put on you was too high and that caused some sort of injury. You said you fired the assistant, which tells me that there was something about her execution of duties that were not to your satisfaction. That's the one thing that's consistent with both of you. So as it relates to that, monies will be awarded. Your judgment based on what I'm seeing here in your receipts will be $1,750. Good luck to you, man. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $1,750.
Pleasure or not, I think the judge's decision is fair.
I feel bad about the injury, but definitely not happy with the decision.
Follow America's Court on Facebook and Twitter. This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.